Netfeed News. School kids need waiver to avoid helmet. Visual, children trying on helmets. Voiceover. Children in Pine Station, a suburban town in Arkansas, must either wear a safety helmet during their entire school day, or their parents must sign a waiver saying they will not sue for damages should their child be injured. Visual. Edlington Gua Choi, Pine Station School District Superintendent. Gua Choi. It's quite simple. We can't afford the coverage anymore. They make nice, comfortable helmets now. The kids will hardly even notice they've got them on. We've done tests, and if they don't want them, that's okay too, as long as their folks take responsibility. A beetle the size of a panel truck was bumping slowly along the shoreline. The baboon beside her was singing, and Rini was dying for a cigarette. "And we go down," Kabu chanted in an almost tuneless voice. "Down to the water. Ah, where the fish are hiding and laughing." "What's that?" Rini watched the beetle hunch across the uneven stones of the beach with the mindless forward drive of one of those drone robots working to tame the surfaces of Mars and the moon. "That song you're singing." "My uncle used to sing it. It helped him be patient while waiting for fish to pass over the rock dam so we could catch them." Kabu scratched at his baboon pelt in a fastidious manner far more human than simian. "Ah," Rini frowned. She was having trouble concentrating, and for once even Kabu's stories about his childhood in the Okavango Delta did not interest her. If someone had told her that she would be transported to what was for all purposes a magical land, where history could be rewritten at a whim, where people could suddenly be shrunk to the size of poppy seeds, but that at least for this moment her most pressing concern would have been the absence of cigarettes, she would have thought them mad. But it had been 2 harrowing days since she had smoked her last, and the momentary leisure of floating in midstream on a huge leaf that had once been a boat had finally given her a chance to notice what she was missing. She pushed away from the leaf's curling edge. Better to do something, anything, than stand around obsessing like a chargehead with a fused can. And it was not as though everything was under control, she reflected. In fact, from the moment they had reached Atasco's virtual golden city, things had gone pretty damn poorly. Across the expanse of water, the beetle had clambered up from the beach and was disappearing into a sea of grass stems, each as tall as the palm trees back home. She walked carefully toward the center of the leaf, leaving Cabo to sing his quiet fish-catching song and watch the now-empty beach. Sweet William's stage vampire silhouette stood at the leaf's farthest edge, watching the opposite and more distant shoreline, but the others sat in the center with their backs against the huge center vane, a makeshift shelter of skin torn from the leaf's outer edge draped over their heads to protect them from the strong sun. "How is he?" Rini asked Fredericks. The young man in quasi-medieval garb was still nursing his sick friend Orlando. Even limp in slumber, Orlando's muscular sim body was a poor indicator of the frail child who animated it. "He's breathing better, I think." Frederick said it with real emphasis, enough so that Rini instantly doubted him. She looked down at the curled figure, then squatted so she could touch his forehead. "That doesn't really work," Fredericks added, almost apologetically. "I mean, some things show up on these sims, some don't. Body temperatures don't seem to change much." "I know. It's just reflex, I guess." Rini sat back on her heels. "I'm sorry, but he doesn't look good at all." She had only so much strength, and she could not support any more hopeful untruths, even though the things Fredericks had told her about the real Orlando Gardner tore at her heart. She made herself turn away. "And how are you, Martine? Any better?" The French researcher who wore the dark-skinned, dark-haired sim of a Temaluni peasant woman mustered a very faint smile. It is easier to think, perhaps, a little. The pain of all this new input is not quite so bad for me now, but—" She shook her head. "I have been blind in the world for a long time, Rini. I'm not used to being blind here." "What do you mean here?" The warrior robot sim belonged to a goggle boy type who called himself T4B. Rini thought he was younger than he let on, maybe even as young as Orlando and Fredericks, and his sullen tone now only deepened her suspicions. "Thought nobody come here before. What's all that fen back at the last place if you've been here?" "I don't think that is what she meant," began Quan Li. "No, I have not been here," Martine said, "but online, plugged in. That has always been my world, but the noise since I have come here, the overwhelming information, it makes it hard for me to hear or even think the way I'm used to." She rubbed at her temples with slow, clumsy movements. It is like fire in my head, like insects. We don't need any more insects, God knows. Rini looked up as a distant but still unbelievably large dragonfly skimmed the shoreline and started out across the river, loud as an ancient propeller plane. Is there anything we can do, Martine? No, perhaps I will learn to live better with it when some time has passed. So what are we going to do? Rini said at last. We can't just drift with the current, literally or figuratively. We have no idea what we're looking for, where we're going, or if we're even heading in the right direction. Does anyone have any ideas?